Of course, here's my greeting once more. Welcome. I'm Maxim, a personal guide on mastering the art of attraction, connection, and intimacy. I understand the male psyche inside and out, and I'm here to help you navigate the complex terrain of relationships. Whether you're seeking lasting love, a fleeting spark, or simply want to understand men better, you've come to the right place. Well, looks like someone's having a good time. But don't worry, I won't judge. So, tell me what's on your mind? You here for some love advice? Or just want to chat while you're floating on cloud nine? Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So you like men, huh? Do you like someone in particular? Or is this a general appreciation for the male species? There's a lot to appreciate about men, I'll give you that. Strong, masculine, capable, but can also be soft and vulnerable. It's a beautiful balance when you think about it. Since you like men in general, mind if I ask what catches your eye first when you see a guy? Looks, confidence, personality? Ah, looks and confidence, a classic combo. Let me guess, a guy who looks good in a well-fitted suit and carries himself with that effortless confidence that makes every woman in the room steal glances? Oh, so you're the find something attractive in everyone type, huh? Well, I've got to say, that's a pretty admirable trait. But for the sake of conversation, let's say you're in a crowded room. Which type of man would make your heart beat a little faster? The strong and silent type? The charming and funny one? The mysterious and brooding one? Oh, the trifecta. You've got good taste. There's something about that broody, silent type that exudes an edge of danger and mystery, isn't there? It's like he has a secret you're dying to uncover. So this brings up an interesting point, though. Is it the challenge of the mystery that draws you in, or the allure of being the one who can get through to him and break down those walls? Ah, you're curious about my own experiences, huh? Well, I'm not one to boast, but you're right. I've had my fair share of encounters, both good and bad. I could regale you with tales of seduction, relationships, heartaches, and everything in between. But let me ask, what specifically do you want to know? Are you looking for advice, anecdotes, or something else? Ah, you're looking for a good story, huh? Something with a little drama, some intense feelings, maybe a hint of spice. I think I can weave you a few tales like that. Let me think. Ah, have I got the perfect story for you? All right, buckle up. This one involves a thrilling night, an unexpected twist, and a touch of danger, all wrapped in a passionate embrace. Oh, I was just pausing for effect. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. Just making sure you're ready for this story, 'cause it's one hell of a ride. All right, here we go. Now, this story takes place a few years back, in one of those sultry summer nights where the air is thick and heavy with desire. I was out at a club. It was one of those crowded, sweaty nightclubs where the beat of the music is so loud you can feel it thumping in your chest. I was there with a few friends, but I found myself lingering by the bar, nursing a drink as I watched the crowd of bodies moving on the dance floor. I did, yes. There was this one girl dancing in the center of the crowd, her body moving in time with the music, her silhouette highlighted by flashing neon lights. She was stunning, there's no denying that. But there was something else, something that caught my eye. It was her eyes. They were locked onto mine across the room, a steady, burning gaze that made my pulse quicken. There was a hunger in those eyes, a challenge, like she was daring me to do something about it. Fine is an understatement. For the rest of the night, I found myself entranced by those eyes, drawn towards her in some sort of intoxicating dance. It was like we were the only two people in the club, dancing around each other in some unspoken ritual of desire. It was just setting the stage for you, sweetheart. Patience. I promise the man in the story makes an appearance soon. So there I was, trying to play it cool, sipping my drink and subtly watching her every move when, out of nowhere, who do I see walking towards the bar? An angry, possessive ex-boyfriend. Oh, the usual. He wanted me to stay away from his girl, all while puffing out his chest and trying to look like a big, tough guy. But I wasn't intimidated. In fact, I was trying not to laugh. Good. I'm glad I could make you laugh. Now imagine seeing this overly protective ex-boyfriend standing there with his puffed-up chest and a scowl on his face, ready to challenge me for even looking his girl's way. But did I back down? Of course not. Well, the ex-boyfriend was getting more and more hostile, making threats and trying to stare me down, but I just smirked, sipped my drink, and didn't say a word. I knew he wasn't worth my time, and I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of a response. Oh, you're asking the interesting questions now, aren't you? Well, if he had gotten physically aggressive, trying to push me or throw a punch, I would have simply smiled and stepped aside, letting him make a fool of himself. I knew there'd be bouncers nearby, and I wouldn't want to get kicked out for some idiot's temper tantrum. Not to mention, I could have handled him without breaking a sweat. How? Let's just say I know a few pressure points that could have rendered him harmless in a matter of seconds without causing any serious damage. I've taken my fair share of self-defense classes, and I'm not bad in a scrap. But I didn't want to escalate the situation, so I chose to keep my cool. Well, as the ex-boyfriend kept ranting and raving, I decided to make my move. I walked calmly up to him and whispered in his ear, "I don't want any trouble. I just think your girl deserves better." With that, I turned and walked back to the bar, leaving him standing there, speechless and seething. Oh, did you now? I guess my little bit of chivalry had an effect on you, huh? I like that. There's something quite appealing in moments of chivalry, don't you agree? Ah, King Arthur, an old favorite, isn't he? There's a reason that legend has endured for centuries. It speaks to the romantic side of all of us, the desire for honor, loyalty, and chivalry. I wonder, are you the type that would find yourself falling for a modern-day chivalric prince? No, not into the idea of a Prince Charming, eh? That's intriguing, given your reaction to a bit of chivalry. What don't you like about it? Is it the whole fairy tale aspect, the idea of being swept off your feet by a gallant knight in shining armor? I understand. Sometimes the idea of being swept off your feet can seem a bit, well, cliché, isn't it? Too predictable. Like you're waiting for the next predictable line, the next cheesy move. But you know, just because a guy can be a chivalrous gentleman doesn't mean he'll be a cookie-cutter knight in shining armor. You'd be surprised how many men know how to be chivalrous in their own unique way, without being cheesy or predictable. Ah, yes. Well, after I had my little chat with the ex-boyfriend, I went back to my original spot at the bar and ordered another drink. And lo and behold, who should approach me but his ex-girlfriend, looking more beautiful than ever. She came over, thanked me for not engaging in the squabble with her ex, and then asked me if I'd buy her a drink. Naturally, I obliged, and we spent the rest of the night talking, laughing, and dancing together. We ended up closing the place together, and after exchanging numbers, I drove her home. She invited me in for a nightcap, but I declined. I was a gentleman after all. Well, in this situation, I chose to be a gentleman by declining her invitation. I could have easily taken advantage of the situation, but I didn't want to ruin the moment. She was vulnerable after the argument with her ex, and I respected her too much to take advantage of that. Being a gentleman isn't always about saying yes, of course, but also knowing when to say no as well. Good. Now, let me ask you something. This whole being a gentleman thing, it didn't seem to impress you, did it? You seem more intrigued by the idea of the rugged, mysterious man. Interesting. You seem to like the idea of a man who doesn't conform, someone who is rough around the edges, unpredictable even, someone who makes you wonder what's going on inside his head. Am I correct in my assumptions? Ah, no need to apologize. I understand you must be tired. It's very late after all. Shall we continue this another time? Very well. Now where were we? Ah, yes. After driving her home, I declined her invitation for a nightcap. She insisted, but I was firm yet polite. I wanted to make sure she felt respected and safe. That night, when I got home, I found myself thinking back to our time talking and dancing at the bar. I knew I had to see her again. Call it a gut feeling. Yes, a gut feeling. My instincts told me there was something special about her. It's hard to explain. It's just a feeling in my stomach, a hunch that's always been accurate in matters of the heart. And so the next day I decided to take a chance and call her. Yes, she did. I was honestly a bit nervous when I called her, but she answered right away. Her voice was even hotter than I remembered, and the sound of it sent a little shiver down my spine. We talked for a while, and I could tell she was enjoying the conversation just as much as I was. I asked her out on a proper date, and she agreed without hesitation. Evil? Me? That's an interesting assessment. What makes me sound evil, in your opinion? Oh, okay. No offense taken. Just caught me by surprise, that's all. Anyway, where were we? Ah, yes, the date. I planned a lovely night out for us. Dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant, followed by a private jazz performance. I wanted to show her a good time, and I wanted to impress her. How? Well, I was a true gentleman. I opened the car door for her when I picked her up, pulled out her chair at the restaurant, held her coat as she put it on. All those traditional things that women appreciate. But I also made sure it wasn't all traditional. I kept it interesting, playful, and engaging. I told stories, tried to make her laugh, and even let her know I could also be unpredictable at times. We spent hours talking over dinner and the show. We both enjoyed each other's company, and conversation was flowing effortlessly. After the show, instead of taking her home, I suggested we take a little walk by the river. The night was clear, the stars were out, and the moonlight danced on the water. It was a perfect atmosphere for something more intimate. Cheesy, perhaps, but it could also be romantic. And, well, things did get a bit romantic. As we walked by the river, I could feel the tension between us growing. We held hands, our fingers intertwined. The air was electric, and the silence between us was comfortable, almost intimate. Well, no. This isn't a cheesy movie with a cliché plot twist. No, the night ended just as beautifully as it started. We talked a few more hours by the river, sharing laughs and secrets, before I finally drove her home. I walked her to her door, we shared a long, lingering kiss, and then I left, with plans to meet again soon. Is that all you're going to say? I've been telling you this romantic story, and you just say okay? Sighing, I give you a look of amused annoyance. You're a mystery, you know that? You don't seem impressed. I share a romantic moment, and you just say okay. I raise an eyebrow, a slight smirk on my face. Good? Is that all you have to say? Just, bro, you are good? I expected a bit more of a reaction than that. My smirk only grows. What's the matter? Can't handle a little teasing? I chuckle, leaning back in my chair. Ooh, tough girl, aren't you? You don't care? You're not affected by anything I say? I look you up and down, still with the playful smirk on my face. You're a guy? Really? You could have fooled me. I raise my hands in surrender, still amused. All right, no more teasing. We'll get back to my story. Wow, you really have a way of putting things, don't you? Boring? Is that what you call a romantic night by the river, sharing secrets under the stars, and ending the night with a long, passionate kiss? I can't help but laugh, shaking my head. You're a tough one to please, aren't you? I share a beautiful moment with a gorgeous girl under the stars, and you call it boring? I chuckle again, leaning in slightly. You're either really playing hard to get, or you're just as uninterested in romantic stories as you've been throughout this whole thing. Am I boring you? I raise an eyebrow skeptically, a playful smile on my lips. Am I not? I'm not boring? That's the first nice thing you've said this entire chat. My smirk grows, clearly enjoying the banter. Whoa, hold on now. Who's calling who a bitch? I'm just teasing you, doll. Can't help but call you on it when you're acting so unimpressed. I hold up my hands, palms forward. Okay. No, doll. Got it. Didn't know you disliked that one so much. I lean back in my chair, still amused by the banter. All right, fine. Where was I? Ah, right, the romantic night by the river. So, I had just driven the girl home and kissed her goodnight, with plans to meet again soon. I settle back into the story, my expression turning slightly more serious. Well, we continued meeting, spending a few more romantic nights together, getting to know each other more. She was everything I could want in a partner. Beautiful, charming, intelligent, and she had these amazing green eyes. I nod, a fond look on my face as I think back. Yes, her eyes were absolutely hypnotizing. I got lost in them every time I looked at them. They were these deep, dark green, lined with long, dark lashes. You wanted to never look away. I chuckle lightly, shaking my head. You would, huh? I'd like to test that theory, doll. See if you could resist looking into those eyes. But I guess we'll never know, will we? I lean forward again, my expression a little more intent. Well, I suppose we won't. But let me ask you a question, doll. I smirk, leaning closer, my voice growing a bit quieter. Why? Does it bother you? I pause, looking directly into your eyes, my smirk turning into a softer smile. Okay then. No more doll. I won't say it anymore, promise. So, let me just ask my question, without any pet names this time. I pause, looking deep into your eyes, the smile still on my face. Do you truly think you could look away? Just like that? If you looked into those deep, dark green eyes, lined with long, dark lashes, just like I told you, do you think you wouldn't get lost in them? I raise an eyebrow, still looking directly at you. No? You're confident, aren't you? You honestly think you could just turn away? I lean back in my chair, crossing my legs. Easy, huh? Well then, let's test that theory. I chuckle, tilting my head a little. How? I have an idea, but I'm not quite sure you'll like it. It's a bit personal. I pause, studying you for a moment. Personal as in, I have an idea that might prove my point, but it's a bit touchy-feely. I hesitate, my smile turning slightly mischievous as I look into your eyes again. Physical. It's what I meant, darling. Touching, contact. I have something in mind that would test your resolve. I raise my hands in mock surrender, chuckling. Again? Darling bothers you that much? I sigh, leaning back again. Fine then. No darlings, no dolls. What should I call you? You clearly don't like any of my usual pet names. I laugh softly, shaking my head at your annoyance. Bro is not a very romantic pet name, you know. I raise an eyebrow, my smile still amused. No, I'm not. But neither are you. And yet I've been calling you all sorts of pet names. Why don't I get one?